Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of The Great Ruler Season 2 Part 4 based on novel. So let's start. On their way back, the members of the Goddess Luo Association were extremely excited to the point that their faces were red. Earlier on, because of the Demon's Gate, everyone was tense and, at the same time, felt like they had a guilty conscience. Although Luo Li's strength was indeed the strongest among them, no matter what, she was, after all, only a girl. There were so many of them, but, in the end, they had to let a girl to stand up for them. Furthermore, Luo Li was injured by the wheeling fighting tactics that the other party had used. This made them feel extremely guilty. Luckily, Mu Chen returned. Even when he faced the shameless and powerful Demon's Gate, he did not choose to swallow the grudge and, unexpectedly, he descended onto the Demon's Gate headquarters with a shocking appearance and returned everything that the other party had done to them. The earlier scene filled everyone's hearts with excitement, even now. Even someone as powerful as He Yao still chose not to move in the end and could only watch the 10 spiritual arrays wreak havoc. There wasn't that many people that could force He Yao into such a spot, but to achieve that as a freshman, only Mu Chen could do it. This accomplishment wasn't any inferior to his pact of 3 moves with Li Xiantong. When Mu Chen saw how excited everyone was, he only smiled in return and turned his sights towards the black-clothed girl that was following him. Luo Li was staring at him with a tranquil and soft gaze as her eyes rippled with emotion. Noticing that he was watching her, Luo Li also gave him a light smile. Her smile was soft and clear, which softened Mu Chen's heart. "Are you injured?" Luo Li asked in a soft voice. She naturally knew that it wasn't easy for Mu Chen in today's fight. It definitely wasn't inferior to his fight with Li Xiantong. However, compared to back then, the current Mu Chen was also much more powerful. Mu Chen shook his head. Earlier on, the majority of the energy he used was from the White Dragon Spiritual Pearl. However, once he was in the Heart Array state, he acquired some exhaustion. But in terms of fatigue, it was naturally incomparable to back then. However, today's events made him go beyond his own expectations. At the beginning, he really did prepare 10 rank 3 spiritual arrays. However, he did not have the confidence to activate all of them at once, since the difficulty to do so was extremely high. But, when he entered the Heart Array state, he was immersed in a state of fine and exquisite control, which allowed him to control the 10 spiritual arrays as he wished. It seems like my control over the Heart Array state has deepened. Mu Chen thought to himself. Currently, the familiarity of his control over the Heart Array state had far surpassed that of what it was in the past. He really did display a shocking talent in his path of spiritual array cultivation. However, even though the power and might unleashed of what he did today was out of the ordinary, it required long and meticulous preparations. All of the spiritual arrays had to be engraved beforehand. Not to mention that the slightest mistake would put all of his efforts to waste. "Mu Chen!" A voice called out from behind him. Mu Chen paused as he turned around and saw Su Xuan's group rushing towards him. Senior Sister Su Xuan, when Mu Chen saw them, he immediately smiled in reply, "Many thanks for your earlier action." Although Mu Chen wasn't afraid of He Yao flipping out, Su Xuan's earlier help still made him feel grateful for her actions. "So you do know how to thank people. You left after we helped you." Su Linga snorted. Mu Chen awkwardly smiled. He just didn't want to remain in that location any longer. The surrounding gazes made him feel uncomfortable. Shortly after, he softly coughed and introduced Luo Li. "Ha ha, Luo Li Long, we've heard of you before. Little sister Luo Li currently holds rank 15 in the heavenly ranking. Her fame within the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy is even higher than yours." Su Xuan smiled as she looked at Luo Li with a smear of shock flashing across her eyes. Back then, Chen Hu and his group came to the Goddess Luo Association to cause trouble, but were defeated by Luo Li, causing her rank in the heavenly ranking to rise to rank 15. However, Luo Li didn't have any feelings for this as she wasn't that strongly attached to the rankings on the heavenly ranking. All of this happened because others were knocking on their door and, therefore, she fought. Luo Li was a little embarrassed. "Senior Sister Su Xuan is flattering me." The friendship between the girls grew very quickly, and when facing with Luo Li with such outstanding temperament, even the ice-cold Li Qing revealed a smile and they rapidly got familiar with one another. You have to be cautious of He Yao. Su Xuan looked at Mu Chen as her gaze suddenly turned a little grave. He Yao's always scheming, and if I didn't sense incorrectly, he should have hidden his strength. Mu Chen was stunned, but shortly after, he restored himself back to his previous state as he nodded his head. Not only did Su Xuan sense that, even he sensed that there were some dangerous ripples coming from He Yao. That fellow was rather dangerous. However, even after being forced to that point, he still refused to reveal his true strength. Mu Chen narrowed his eyes. What exactly was that fellow trying to do? Next month will be the hunting war. Su Xuan lightly smiled. What you're trying to say is that he's planning to show his true strength at the hunting war. Mu Chen was shocked. Shortly after, a flash of light went past his eyes and he continued, he's planning to surpass you on the hunting war, right? I'm probably not his true target, said Su Xuan. Then his target is Li Xiantong. Mu Chen was stunned. So it turned out that He Yao was going after Li Xiantong. No wonder he refused to reveal his strength to him, no matter what. It seemed that Li Xiantong was already making some preparations. He Yao's ambitions are high and he's not content with being behind someone. The hunting war is a distinguished meeting of our Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. If he manages to surpass Li Xiantong on it, then his fame within the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy will surpass the latter and he'll chase after Shen Sangshan, said Su Xuan. Mu Chen's expression was a little solemn. He fought with Li Xiantong before and naturally knew how powerful that fellow was. If He Yao does have the confidence to fight with Li Xiantong, then he naturally had his own powerful trump cards that couldn't be underestimated. And, right now, the situation between him and He Yao was like ice and fire. The instant the hunting war was opened, he would definitely be listed in He Yao's prey list and, at that time, the latter clearly won't conceal himself. In the hunting war, everyone had to rely on their true abilities. And if Su Xuan helped them at that time, he would be mocked and ridiculed instead. Mu Chen narrowed his eyes as he thought of He Yao's dark gaze. Shortly after, he smiled, Senior Sister Su Xuan, I know. Since he had already done those things, he would certainly not regret his actions. No matter how much He Yao had hidden his ability, if the latter thought that he could be easily suppressed, it would definitely not go so easily. Su Xuan lightly nodded. Regarding this matter, a reminder would be enough. Although He Yao was really powerful, this youth that stood before her wasn't any normal person, either. As for the results between them, it will only be known after they've clashed. The group of people talked for a moment before Su Xuan's party left. Mu Chen looked at their back figures and fell deep into his thoughts. What are you planning? Are you going to participate in the hunting war? Luo Li looked at Mu Chen as she asked. Since there are so many benefits in the hunting war, I naturally have to participate in it. Mu Chen smiled. The spiritual light empowerment would clearly benefit one's cultivation greatly. If he were to give it up, then the loss would be too great. Then, He Yao, Luo Li slightly hesitated. If he participated in the hunting war, then there wouldn't be that many rules and regulations. Aside from not being able to kill, even if they were to heavily injure the other party, there wouldn't be the slightest punishment. He Yao's schemes were deep and, clearly, he wasn't a simple fellow to deal with. Facing this kind of opponent, one would have to maintain their vigilance and guard. Otherwise, who knew when he would be fatally wounded by the vicious demon that was hiding in the dark? Rest assured, although He Yao has concealed a portion of his strength, I'm not someone that's easy to deal with, either. Mu Chen smiled. Furthermore, don't we have a month's time? In this 1 month, I intend on entering the lightning territory to cultivate and make preparations for the hunting war. Although he managed to obtain the White Dragon Spiritual Pearl, he hadn't been able to fully grasp its profound intent. And since he had time right now, it's best that he studied it a little bit. Who knows, he might be able to enhance his strength. There would definitely be many dark horses in this hunting war, and by adding powerful opponents like He Yao, if he were to slacker even little bit, he might be thrown far away. And clearly, this situation wasn't something that he's willing to see. Then I'll accompany you. Luo Li lightly smiled. When Mu Chen heard what she said, he couldn't stop smiling. This is like the husband wielding the sword, facing all of the enemies, as the wife plays the zither and follows the wave. A smear of redness appeared on Luo Li's face as she stared at Mu Chen. Thereafter, she quickened her steps towards Yi Qingling. Mu Chen let out a huge laugh and quickly chased after the members of the Goddess Luo Association. When Mu Chen's group left, the Demon's Gate headquarters was in ruins. He Yao, however, was solemnly looking at the headquarters that was left in ruins. Behind him, the faces of Chen Hu and the rest were ugly. Being beaten by Mu Chen today was a huge loss of face for them, the Demon's Gate. Boss, if you were to take action, would that brat act so arrogantly? Chen Hu said with a low voice. After all, he's a core member of the Demon's Gate, so, naturally, he knew some of He Yao's secrets. He Yao indifferently threw a glance at him, then coldly said, "My opponent is Li Xiantong. A freshman is still not worthy enough for me to reveal my strength." "But, you're just going to let that brat go?" Chen Hu unwillingly said. Bang, asterisk. When he finished speaking, a smear of viciousness flashed across He Yao's eyes as he threw a palm out. Rolls of spiritual energy turned into a huge force as it instantly swept the ruined headquarters. All of the huge stones were turned into dust. This scene made the members of the Demon's Gate silent out of fear. Rest assured, in the hunting war, I will make that brat kneel and beg forgiveness for the things that he has done today. A small freshman really thinks that he can stand on top of my, He Yao's, head? What a reckless idiot. For now, I'll allow him to live for another month. He indifferently swept his sleeve as he turned around and left. His cold voice, however, spiraled around the ears of Chen Hu and the rest with a cold-killing intent. Night engulfed the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy as Mu Chen quietly sat on his bed. Within his hand, a white light was flowing within a smooth pearl. There was also the sound of a dragon roaring. Its deep dragon roar caused even the air to tremble. Mu Chen stared at the white dragon spiritual pearl in his hand as doubt flashed across his eyes. Within the white dragon spiritual pearl, there was a boundless amount of spiritual energy. He could use a small portion of the spiritual energy within. However, he could vaguely feel that that shouldn't be the full extent of the white dragon spiritual pearl. However, every single time he attempted to enter the white dragon spiritual pearl, he was rejected. The power within was rejecting his entry. The rejection appeared weak, but it was extremely frightening to the point that Mu Chen didn't dare to forcefully barge in. Otherwise, the rejection would make him suffer. There seems to be a seal set within the white dragon spiritual pearl. Mu Chen tightened his brows together as he muttered. You didn't guess wrong. The 9 Netherbirds' intent suddenly resounded within his heart. You know what's wrong. Mu Chen was slightly happy as he immediately inquired within his heart. This white dragon spiritual pearl should be an inheritance object that was left behind by the white dragon sovereign. Except that there's a seal within it and, with your current ability, it is impossible for you to break it, said the 9 Netherbird. Are you able to break it? Mu Chen immediately asked. As of right now, I'm afraid that it will be a little difficult. 9 Netherbird said, sounding a little helpless. After all, she still hasn't fully recovered. Then, what should we do? Mu Chen was a little flabbergasted. If he could not break the seal, doesn't it mean that he could only stare at it? To break this kind of seal, perhaps we can use an external force to aid us, said the 9 Netherbird solemnly. An external power? What does that mean? Mu Chen was a little astonished. Where can he borrow such a powerful external power? The place that you're intending to go to tomorrow. A thought flashed in Mu Chen's heart, you're talking about the lightning territory. His eyes lit up. Within the lightning territory, there was powerful and frightening external power. If he could borrow it, perhaps he'd be able to break through the seal of this white dragon spiritual pearl. Yeah. Mu Chen lightly nodded as he tightly grasped the white dragon spiritual peel. A smear of blaze flashed across his eyes. He wished he could enter the lightning territory now and borrow its power to break the seal on the white dragon spiritual pearl. Okay, I'll head for the lightning territory tomorrow. Hearing Mu Chen's words, the 9 Netherbirds' intent also appeared to be excited. This time, I want to refine a sufficient amount of divine lightning beads. We're still lacking more than 2 million spiritual value points before we're able to purchase the blood essence of the Northern Sea Dragon, right? Mu Chen smiled as he nodded. In this heaven rank mission, he obtained a total of 4,500,000 spiritual value points, with only 2,500,000 spiritual value points to go before he reached 7 million spiritual value points, the price for the Northern Sea Dragon's blood essence. Although it was not a small amount, at least they are a step closer to it. Mu Chen's hand gently caressed the white dragon spiritual pearl as expectation roused within his heart. If the 9 Netherbird obtained the Northern Sea Dragon's blood essence, then it'll be able to fully recover and surpass the shackles of a spiritual beast, and become a genuine divine beast, right? At that time, how powerful will it become? That was something that Mu Chen couldn't wait to see. The next day, Mu Chen immediately headed out, after bidding farewell to Luo Li early in the morning, and immediately headed towards the direction of the Lightning Territory. Outside the twisted space of the Lightning Territory, there were countless students rushing in. Among them, Mu Chen sensed a few with powerful spiritual energy ripples. On the spot, he inwardly smacked his lips. It seemed like many people were doing everything they could to make preparations for the hunting war next month. Outside the twisted space, there was a huge floating stone platform with a frightening amount of people arriving from several different directions. Thereafter, from this stone platform, they would enter the Lightning Territory. Mu Chen landed on a platform and swept his eyes around. Thereafter, his gaze stopped at the edge of the platform. There was a huge silver tablet. It looked as though lightning was flickering on the huge tablet. Around the huge platform, it was filled with many people. However, they were all pointing towards the huge silver tablet. Occasionally, there would be names flickering on top, and, from the looks of it, it was clearly not simple. What's that? Mu Chen was a little astonished as he did not notice any silver tablets of that sort previously. This is the Lightning Territory tablet. It's used to record the achievements of those outstanding students that went into the Lightning Territory. Someone that appeared to be an upperclassman smiled as he said. Mu Chen looked over and swept his eyes over it, absorbing the information on the silver tablet with his eyes. At the top of it, he saw several familiar names. Su Xuan, Lightning Territory's highest level, 9th level. Li Xiantong, Lightning Territory's highest level, 8th level. Su Xuan, Lightning Territory's highest level, 7th level. He Yao, Lightning Territory's highest level, 7th level. Li Peng, Lightning Territory's highest level, 7th level. The densely packed lightning names flickered. Every name represented powerful achievements. Within the Lightning Territory, there was a total of 10 levels. The further you go, the more fearsome the lightning power becomes. Those who are slightly weaker wouldn't even dare to remain in it for long. The Lightning Territory tablet was also an aspect to see how many students have concealed their strength in the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. On the silver tablet, aside from Su Xuan and Li Xiantong, who were able to pull some distance between the rest, the next 10 were closely packed behind Su Xuan as well as He Yao. There were some whose names have never appeared on the heavenly ranking before. Clearly, the strength that they possessed wasn't something that could be underestimated. As expected of Su Xuan, Mu Chen sighed. Previously, he was only able to reach the 4th level, but Su Xuan had already reached the 9th level. If he took another step forward, he'd probably be able to reach the last level of the Lightning Territory. This strength was, indeed, something that left others stunned. Li Xiantong wasn't weak, either. He had reached the 8th floor, which made him just behind Su Xuan. No wonder that person was a formidable figure that could challenge Su Xuan. This time, I'll see how high I can ascend. Mu Chen's eyes flashed with the desire to test himself. The last time he visited the Lightning Territory, he was only at the strength of Spirit Realm. But right now, his cultivation was at the heavenly fusion stage and the methods that he possessed was also so much stronger. Mu Chen glanced at the Lightning Territory tablet and no longer made any stops as he charged into the twisted space. Lightning flickered and he appeared within the Lightning Territory as the lighting wreaked havoc. Within the Lightning Territory, the sky was dark with lightning shooting down from every direction. The thunderous sound resounded in this entire space, causing even the heavens and earth to tremble. This wasn't the first time Mu Chen visited the lightning territory. Therefore, he was quite familiar with this place. The first level of the lightning territory was too weak and wasn't suitable for him. Therefore, he did not make the slightest hesitation as he sped up and headed further into the depths. The current Mu Chen was clearly much stronger than his first visit. Therefore, he already charged into the fourth level well before 10 minutes. However, he only made a slight stop in the fourth level and felt that the lightning power wasn't suitable for him. Therefore, he made a firm decision, gave up, and headed towards the fifth level. In the lightning territory, the cultivation of heavenly fusion stage was required to enter the fourth floor. As for the fifth level, it was a huge increase and the minimum requirement would be heavenly fusion stage late phase or even quasi-heavenly transformation stage strength. The further levels required even stricter requirements in cultivation. Naturally, this level wasn't the only standard of judgment. Those with powerful means could also pass through. With Mu Chen's current strength, charging into the fifth floor wasn't that difficult. When he entered the fifth floor, he only made a slight pause and shook his head again. The lightning power wasn't sufficient to break the seal of the White Dragon Spiritual Pearl. He, once again, pressed onwards. In a short dozen, or so, minutes, he had already reached the protective screen of the sixth floor. However, all he did was throw a punch out and the violent spiritual energy instantly broke the protective screen. His figure flashed and passed through the crack that led to the sixth level of the lightning territory. Rumble. When Mu Chen entered the sixth level of the lightning territory, an alarming thunderous roar instantly resounded within his ears, as if it even made the blood within his body to start boiling. He raised his head. This was the sixth level of the lightning territory, which was even darker. The thunderclouds up in the sky were so huge that the end of it could not be seen. They huge python-like lightning pierced through the heavens and earth. This scene looked as if Judgment Day had arrived. Mu Chen sensed the violent spiritual energy within the heavens and earth. After a moment, he lightly shook his head, still not enough. Mu Chen muttered to himself. Thereafter, he raised his head towards the depths of the lightning territory. If he went in even further, it would be the seventh level of the lightning territory. Over there, not even a heavenly transformation stage initial phase could withstand the impact of the lightning. It requires the strength of heavenly transformation stage middle phase. Mu Chen narrowed his eyes. Shortly after, his figure flew out. He wanted to break the seal of the White Dragon Spiritual Pearl as soon as possible and he could only rely on the powerful lightning of the lightning territory. Therefore, he had to do his best and go further in. Although a heavenly transformation stage middle phase's strength was powerful, it wasn't easy to obstruct Mu Chen. Mu Chen's hands tightly clenched as his black pupils reflected the lightning world. It was especially ferocious. Mu Chen rapidly flew past the sixth floor of the lightning territory. After a long time, his speed began to slow down as a twisted space appeared before him. A lightning screen pierced the heavens and earth and was blocking him. Outside the lightning screen, there were many stone platforms with quite a few figures. Everyone that had reached this place wasn't any nameless figure. Even within the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy, they also possessed some fame. They were bitterly training here so that they could break through the screen and enter into the seventh floor of the lightning territory. When Mu Chen arrived, he attracted quite a bit of attention. Especially when these people sensed Mu Chen's strength, they revealed faces of shock. With the strength of a heavenly fusion stage, Mu Chen was actually able to reach the sixth floor? Mu Chen did not care about everyone's gazes. He approached the huge lightning screen as he tightly clenched his fist. He had to charge through from here. A gigantic lightning screen pierced through the heavens and earth with large lightning arcs leaping about, emitting astonishing spiritual energy ripples. It was as if even the space was twisted by it. Mu Chen's figure stopped roughly 1,000 feet outside the lightning screen as his eyes gravely stared at the lightning screen. This was what obstructed access to the seventh level. Therefore, it was naturally out of the ordinary. Even if some heavenly transformation stage initial phase experts exerted their full strength against the lightning screen, it would be hard for them to make a crack on the screen to pass through. Strength of a heavenly transformation stage middle phase. Mu Chen's fist clenched together as he inhaled a deep breath of air. He sat down on the air and closed his eyes. What's that fellow doing? On the stone platform outside of the lightning screen, there were some people paying attention to Mu Chen's abnormal actions. Immediately, they were a little astonished. That person looks familiar. Doesn't he? Aside from some doubtful people, there were also some that managed to recognize Mu Chen. After all, he was no longer the nameless freshman that he was in the past. After his pact of 3 moves with Li Xiantong, he was engraved into the memory of many upperclassmen. That's the freshman that managed to beat the pact of 3 moves against Li Xiantong. His name should be Mu Chen, right? So it was him. No wonder he dared to enter the 6th level of the lightning territory with just heavenly fusion stage strength. But, from the looks of it, it seems that he's trying to charge through the 7th level of the lightning territory, right? It shouldn't be possible, right? Not even I can pass through that screen. Yeah. Even though that brat managed to take the 3 moves from Li Xiantong, his physical strength is still a little too weak. If he recklessly charged into the 7th level, that's simply seeking his own death. Up on the stone platforms, there was an outburst of whispers. Some gazes were gathered onto the youth's figure that was sitting on the air. Mu Chen wasn't bothered by those surrounding whispers. He focused his mind and, after a long while, all 10 of his fingers started to form seals and he was rapidly forming spiritual seals. The spiritual seals were increasing at a rapid speed and in just 2 minutes, 100 spiritual seals were surrounding Mu Chen. Those spiritual seals whistled as they brought forth frightening spiritual energy ripples. The current Mu Chen had already achieved rank for Spiritual Array Master in the cultivation of spiritual arrays. At his best, the amount of spiritual seals that he could create had already reached a shocking amount of 100. Up on the stone platform, everyone was looking at the 100 spiritual seals that were surrounding Mu Chen. Their eyes trembled. Reaching 100 spiritual seals was a threshold. Passing through that threshold, one will be able to achieve rank for Spiritual Array Master. And the current Mu Chen had clearly reached that step. Rank for Spiritual Array Masters are comparable to Heavenly Transformation Stage experts. They then understood why Mu Chen was able to reach the 6th level of the Lightning Territory with only his Heavenly Fusion Stage cultivation. As they were grasping in surprise, the 100 spiritual seals that were surrounding Mu Chen whistled out. Thereafter, they merged with the heavens and earth. Instantly, the spiritual energy between the heavens and earth gave off violent ripples. Spiritual energy light rays gleamed as they interweaved, forming into a huge and complicated spiritual array diagram. The spiritual energy light rays were sketching while releasing extremely violent spiritual energy ripples. Up in the sky, the light rays gradually gathered and everyone could see a complicated lotus-like spiritual array slowly being formed. It was as if a huge spiritual array was being made from black light spiritual energy that was emitting a resonating and trembling sound. Lights fluctuated along the powerful energy ripples. This spiritual array was, naturally, the butchering demonic lotus spiritual array. In the past, when Mu Chen arranged this spiritual array, he required a massive amount of energy. But along with his cultivation improving, he clearly no longer required the need to exhaust as much energy as he did in the past. Mu Chen's eyes slowly opened and within his black pupils, a light flickered. Shortly after, his hand signs changed as a faint voice resounded throughout this place with the roaring lightning. Butchering demonic lotus spiritual array. Boom! The huge spiritual array slowly twisted to the point that even the black light lotus was also slanting to one side. The black petals gradually blossomed as boundless lights gathered at the heart of the lotus. An extremely violent light beam shot out from the lotus heart and, shortly after, it pierced through the sky. Under all those amazed gazes, it heavily clashed against the lightning screen. The lightning screen violently rippled as energy ripples endlessly fluctuated. Wherever the black light swept against, there were traces of the lightning screen becoming twisted. Mu Chen's eyes were calm as he rotated one of his fingers. The huge black lotus started to spin along with the black light. It was like a drill that was drilling into the lightning screen. Creak, creak. The lightning arc violently flickered as a little black mark appeared on the solid lightning screen. Thereafter, the mark slowly cracked open. Although the hole was small, it was sufficient for a person to pass through it. He actually cracked it, someone cried out with a shocked and admiring voice. Up in the sky, Mu Chen's figure suddenly stood up. There wasn't the slightest hesitation in him as he turned into a stream of light and charged towards the crack at lightning speed. As Mu Chen charged into the lightning screen, the giant spiritual array started to disperse, bit by bit. The screen rapidly restored itself back to normal, leaving plenty of astonished and admiring gazes from outside. Mu Chen charged through the crack and the darkness before him only lasted for a moment before it lit up. Shortly after, he opened his eyes and was a little shocked as he looked at the shocking scene before him. It was a dark world with the lightning clouds up in the sky looking as though they were about to fall onto the ground. This caused the sky to appear extremely low and the pressure was extremely hard to bear. Rumble. Mu Chen raised his head and saw that the 7th level of the lightning territory was actually drizzling with rain. He extended his hand out, allowing the rain to fall onto his body. Immediately, his body started to shake uncontrollably. He clenched his hand, caught those fine raindrops and discovered that the raindrops were formed by lightning. When they fell onto one's body, it would bring tiny amounts of stabbing pain with numbing sensation. The lightning energy of the 7th level was actually powerful to this extent. A smear of astonishment flashed across Mu Chen's eyes. No wonder the requirement to enter the 7th level was so high. Otherwise, it would be hard to endure while training here. The lightning energy in the 7th level is rather vigorous, it should be sufficient to break the seal. Mu Chen slightly pondered, before his body flew out. Dozens of minutes later, his figure began to slow down. In front of him, there was a majestic mountain. There weren't any plants on the surface of the mountain, it was empty with little life force. At the peak of the mountain, there was a metallic-looking lightning platform. Mu Chen's figure landed on the lighting platform and sat down. Up above him, the lighting clouds looked like black ink, due to the attraction of the lighting energy floating quietly up in the sky. In the clouds, there weren't any astonishing lightning bolts flickering about. However, there was some lightning that managed to get out as the black clouds moved, emitting a frightening amount of ripples. The 7th level of the lightning energy was much more powerful compared to the 6th level. When Mu Chen looked at the lighting clouds, where the frightening lightning energies were gathering, he wasn't worried, instead, he was happy. The more powerful the lightning energy, the more effective it would be against the seal on the White Dragon Spiritual Pearl. Mu Chen looked at the cold lightning platform and slightly held his breath. Shortly after, he deeply inhaled and infused the spiritual energy within him into the lightning luring platform. As he poured his spiritual energy into the platform, the originally black lightning luring platform started to emit some light. When the lightning platform was activated by Mu Chen, the ink-like lightning cloud started to wiggle. The lighting clouds extended out, little by little, like an ancient lightning beast that was about to emerge. Mu Chen's face was grave as he clearly sensed that there was a frightening amount of energy ripples being gathered between this heaven and earth. Rumble. A deep thunderous roar resounded up in the sky. Mu Chen raised his head and stared at the lightning clouds. Just when he was about to welcome the lightning's impact, he suddenly saw some rain falling towards him from the black clouds. Those rain droplets appeared to be brilliant silver, and within those droplets, there were violent lightning energies being contained. Every single drop was way more horrifying than the lightning at the 4th level. It was a lightning rain. Crack, crack. The rain was falling down under Mu Chen's startled gaze and fell onto the surface of his body. Bang! Bang! Mu Chen's figure felt as though he had suffered the impact of some lightning. Every single raindrop exploded the moment they fell onto his body. The frightening energies within them caused red marks to appear on the surface of his body. That intense pain instantly traveled throughout his body. Mu Chen couldn't help taking a deep breath. He never imagined that the rain that looked so gentle would be so frightening. The lightning rain continued to explode and travel along the surface of Mu Chen's body and into his pores. Faint crackling sounds resounded. That was the lightning energy traveling through his flesh and meridians. An intense pain, along with the faint numbness, was spreading throughout Mu Chen's body. Aside from the intense pain, there was an abnormal content sensation. Mu Chen smiled as he looked at the falling rain. His fist clenched as a white light flickered. The white dragon spiritual pearl appeared in his grasp, emitting a deep resounding dragon's roar. Mu Chen stared at the white dragon spiritual pearl in his hand and, shortly after, he slowly raised his hand. The white dragon spiritual pearl floated above his head as a faint white light rippled out, forming into a light barrier and blocked all of the raindrops. When the lightning rain fell on the light barrier formed by the white dragon spiritual pearl, it instantly caused ripples. Both of Mu Chen's hands stuck to the cold lightning luring platform as he poured his spiritual energy into it, pushing the effect of the lightning luring platform to its greatest limit. Boom! The lightning luring platform burst forth with dazzling light that instantly shrouded Mu Chen's body within it. A powerful attraction burst out. Rumble! As the lightning luring platform was pushed to the limits by Mu Chen, it instantly caused deep lightning roars to resound between this heaven and earth. Some ink black thunderclouds that were far away also started to be attracted towards this location. The entire heavens and earth had instantly darkened down. Only the white dragon spiritual pearl that was on top of Mu Chen's head was still emitting some light and stood towering without any movements. Mu Chen raised his head and mumbled, while looking at those ink-like thunderclouds. Next up, give me a merciless one. Boom! As Mu Chen muttered, those ink-like thunderclouds up in the sky instantly shrank, and in the next instant, it was a torrential downpour. This video will end here.